On today's video, we're going to be unboxing this bad boy, which is the City States Warband by Bellum for Conquest First Blood. And it's roughly 600, 700 points worth of City States troops that we're going to go through and unbox together now. Hi guys, my name's James and welcome to the Distant Vale. So let's take a look at the little kit. So this is the City States Warband for First Blood in Conquest by Bellum. So it's a warband that is essentially for First Blood, but it's also quite a good expansion box if you wanted to expand your city states for the Last Argument of Kings. Let's give it an open, let's see what's inside. As always with Bellum boxes, there's an absolute ton inside that you're probably not expecting. There's a quick start guide to start off with. So the quick start guide is actually for First Blood, and that'll guide you through first things first, always a good start. Army composition, fighting the battle, reinforcement phases, and it basically talks you through the new rules for First Blood, which is essentially a dumbed down version of the Last Argument of Kings. Nice little rule book. Should probably actually go through that in a couple of weeks, and we'll have a little run through with these. There's a City States guide for forces for First Blood, and this takes you through the Conquest army lists that you can form. So obviously with this warband, we've got the initial Aristarch, Lycurgus, Setaroi, Selenoi, Agama, Thoracites, and a Minotaur. And we'll have a look at the kits in a sec. This is a assembly instructions guide, and it takes you through all of the different sets one by one. And obviously with this set, which we'll go through in a second, the Aristarch and the Lycurgus are both resin models, whereas the rest are injection sprues, injection molded plastic. And we have multiple options on how to build those, depending on whether or not you want light or medium infantry for the Agama or the Thoracites. And again, same thing with the Setaroi and the Selenoi, whether or not you want light infantry or archers. Be interesting to see if there's an option with a Minotaur, because I have a feeling it's probably just the Haspists, so you can't use it as the auxiliary add-on for the Thoracites, but we'll see. You never know. Let's start first things first. Set of cards. So these scan through the Conquest app, and the little QR code in the bottom corner means that we can scan them into the QR system that's on the Conquest companion app, and also they're obviously command cards for when we play the game. It's nice that they've included actually all the different options depending on what you actually make the kits as, but you've got different playing styles. All the relevant bases and the movement trays. 1, 2, 3, 4 movement trays, and the one for the Minotaur. These are quite nice, these changes, so they've actually got magnets on the bottom. It means that then you can magnetize the movement trays to the bottom of your miniature bases. It's a nice change. Wish Games Workshop would do that. So we'll go through the sprues one by one. We'll start with the Aristarch. It's probably the best bet. So the Aristarch, as we said before, is a resin-based model. So there's a little base in there. These are super cool models. There's a little bit of resin flash in, but not a lot. And I mean, compared to some other resin kits that I've had in the past, that just flakes off. It's very, very little. I mean, take that off with a pair of sprue cutters, but it'll just snap off and that'll file down. But these are super cool resin molds. So this is the Aristarch. We'll get them together in a sec and we'll show you. Moving on to the next resin model. There's quite a lot of flash in there, so I'm not going to take it out. But I'll show it made up. Is the Lycurgus, so the other character that you can build. That is I don't know if you can see that, but that is a super cool Medusa style shield. And we'll get that made up as well. Now onto the main stuff. is the injection sprues. So in this set, there are 4 sets of sprues. The Saturoi Selenoi, which I believe, yeah, there's 2 sprues of, so you can make 4 of each or 8 of one style, depending on which way you want to do it. With these Polish injection molded plastic, these are fantastic. There's very, very few mold lines on these. Really, really crisp, high detail. I'm going to stick some together now and show you. But you've got options of bows for whether or not you want to go for light infantry or light archers. Those are super nice. So 2 of those sprues. You've got the piece I'm most excited about, which is the Minotaur Haspists. So it's the heavy Minotaur, which you might actually be able to, if you're clever, make as an auxiliary that can go with the Thracites. But we'll have a look. We'll get this together. I know Harry, one of the guys I work with, is super, super excited in painting this model, but we'll get that, have a look. And finally, there is 1 sprue of Agema or Thracites. So these are the light or medium infantry models. So let's make a start and get them together. If you've got this far, thank you so much for watching. And if you don't mind liking and subscribing the video, it really helps us and makes it worthwhile. So thank you. So while I'm building these, I'm just going to talk you through some of the units that are in the box set. So initially I'm building the Minotaur Haspists and then the Aristarch and Lokagos. The Minotaur Haspists are like farming Minotaurs, so to speak. They're medium infantry in Conquest, First Blood, and they can be used alongside other units like Agema and things like that. They basically there to protect your flanks a little bit more. The Aristarch is one of the characters. He's essentially a bureaucratic apparatus. The aspirant pole marches, so they're basically building up to rule a council, whereas the Lokagos is actually a officer, is a promoted veteran hoplite. The Selenoi themselves are essentially bred to be combatants. They put them at odds with the humans, but they've been bred to survive. Their woodcraft and hunting skills make them really invaluable scouts for the city states, and their presence is kind of tolerated. The Selenoi are archers and they're light infantry, whereas the Saturoi are medium infantry. So when you've got this box set, you've got a good mix of medium and lights, as well as one officer and 1 character. So first things first is the Minotaur Haspists. So the only thing that I've noticed with this is there'll need to be a little bit of filling up this seam, but otherwise it's a really cool little miniature. Went together really easy, not that much of an issue with seams. On the most part, actually, mold lines, there weren't that many, or they came off with the back of a hobby knife. Really, really easy. So first things first. Move on to the characters that we had next. So the Aristarch first. Again, apart from a slight amount of resin flashing, very little work to do on this model. Went together super easy, a little bit of super glue, and absolutely stunning mold. And the other character in the pack was the Lokagos. So yeah, as we go, actually, again, very, very few flashes on this one. There's a lot more flash in the packet, but actually there wasn't that much on the model. So not too bad. It's really nice that actually in the warband set for this First Blood that you are getting 2 characters as well as a heavy, so to speak, that I guess you probably could make up as an auxiliary for one of the other units, but it is what it is. So next I had the option with the Thracites or the Agema, so I went with the Agema purely for my playstyle and where these models are ending up in the end. It's quite nice to have some medium infantry rather than just all light infantry. So we made a Agema leader, which is this guy. Again, this injection molded plastic, very, very few mold lines, and it's just been really nice to put together. So going through them, 4 different styles. The only thing I would say is the instruction manual itself, although it's pretty obvious what you need to do, the layout's a little bit confusing, but it jumps between different sprues and different models as you go. It'd probably be a little bit easier if it was pose 1 to pose 4 for each of the groups of units, rather than one page is the Minotaur, next page is an Agama, then you want the Aristarch, and so on and so forth. So next one we had 2 sprues, and these were the options with the Satoroi and the Selenoi, so the archers or the light to medium infantry. So I did one of each because it'd be quite nice to have a little bit of ranged combat instead of all close combat units, but also from a strategic point of view, if you're moving units around the board, it's quite nice to be able to have multiple close combat units rather than just like 2 sets of archers and 1 regiment of troops. Just gives you a little bit more flexibility in my eyes. Again, so with these, 1 leader unit for each one, and then 4 separate poses. So with the leader unit, it's the same body, but obviously different weapons on them and different heads, so it's pretty cool. Thank you so much for watching the video. I look forward to seeing you next time.